Welcome to episode 59 of Enter the Mind podcast, the most real talk, no nonsense podcast on the empowering of the mind. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the basics of reaching your goals. Before we get to that, Kyra, how's it going this week?
It's going pretty well. My tacos turned out horrible last night, so it was not a good Taco Tuesday. But I'm doing good. I'm packing up today, and then tomorrow I head out for a day of moving, which I hope will not go stressfully. I hope that it'll go smoothly as it can. How are you on your end?
Very good. Good luck on your move. And I take it those are vegan tacos you made, correct?
Oh, yes.
Of course. Right. Very good. Yeah, I'm doing well. It's got some family coming through today on their way to Hawaii. So making a stop on the West Coast, and I'm going to take them to the very best part of San Jose and treat them to dinner. So that's the plan.
That sounds nice.
It's going to be amazing. Yep. So let's get to today's topic. So tell us kind of what made you want to talk about goal achievement today, and what angle you're coming from.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about the foundation of goals because I feel like it's really quite simple. You have yourself a little foundation for getting your goals, reaching your goals, and you have this little foundation, and if you keep in mind this little foundation, these little small steps that can turn into such big steps over time, compounded, these things are literally going to help you reach your goals. Like, they are your vehicle for reaching your goals. It's your foundation. It's where you root from. So that's why I wanted to talk about it. And I guess, we can talk about, let's see. So what would you say is one of your foundations for reaching your goals? It could be a foundation that you've been using for years, since you were young, or it could be a foundation that recently, you just decided to foundation in your life. So what would you say is one of your foundations for reaching your goals, your basics?
I think that one way to accelerate your goal achievement is by being around people who have achieved those goals. And I know that's a common one, but it lies in the fact that it's tempting to just get a lot of books and read books, and there's value in reading books for sure. But with certain things that you kind of are trying to learn new ways of being and new habits, you have to be around people who practice that stuff. Case in point, I went to this real estate seminar in Texas, and this guy owns over 180 houses. He's super wealthy and just he's really kicked butt in real estate investing. And being around him gave me so much more than being able to just read a book of oh, this is the house. This is how much you want to invest in a house that needs this much repairs and blah, blah, blah. It's so dry. But in this training, we rented a private bus and went around town looking at these properties, and he would actually talk through it. And just by listening to how he thought about it and his tonality and all of this, just the way that he kind of did the math in his head, you gain so much perspective that you wouldn't gain if you just read about it.
It's such a biggie. It's definitely one that's everybody says, but it's such a biggie. I mean, if you think about it, do people hang out with, people who are millionaires? Do they hang out with I don't know, people who are just super poor, always complaining about their money? Probably not, and it's I remember I met a guy named Heath at 10X conference a few years ago, and I went to hang out with him and I had a few drinks with him. I don't know, maybe like 6 months ago, something like that. Oh my God, it was so good to be around him. He's this grown man, you know, he's building a business. He's telling me all these great ways to run my business, and it feels so wonderful to be around him and hear it coming from his mouth. His tonality, his assurance, his simplicity of it, it reaches you, and it's like, wow, like I feel like a whole new person right now. Like, can you stay by my side forever? Literally. So that's such a big one.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's a lot of deep psychology behind it, because it goes back to, if you think as human beings evolved over the millions of years, we learn best through imitating others, like monkey see, monkey do, like, you know. And reading is such a recent phenomenon. I mean, how long have human beings been reading books? Like, I don't know, maybe a couple thousand years, several thousands of years, but how long have human beings been imitating each other or learning from each other, observing another person do something and then doing the same thing? I was reading a book the other day that explained, or that was stating the research finding that you can take a baby as young as 6 hours old. They came out of their mother 6 hours ago. They're a newborn infant. And if you stick out your tongue at them like this, they will stick out their tongue at you in imitation. And it shows you just how hardwired we are to imitate the behavior of other people.
I love that so much, because yeah, it's literally like hardwired in our brains. Okay, so let's move on to another one, shall we? Okay, so I'll do one, and I think that it'll be, I think that trusting yourself is an ongoing foundation for catching your dreams and your goals, because there will be, like, you have to have like 100% trust in yourself in every decision that you're making, because everybody is doing something different. Everybody is going to think something different. Everybody is going to tell you to do something different. You're going to be influenced by so many people around you as you go through life, connecting with people who can get you places, connecting with people who can help you grow, you know, connecting with people who you like totally vibe with, you know. And these things throughout life, if you're not 100% trusting in yourself, then you're not going to be able to move forward, because you're not going to be able to trust your decisions. You're not going to be able to trust when you need to let somebody go. You're not going to be able to trust when you need to tell somebody something very important. You're not going to trust when you need to pull out of a deal. You're not going to trust when you need to go for that risky, educated decision. You know, you're not going to know. And this is why concrete trust in yourself is so 100% important in my foundation for catching my dreams. What about you? What do you think about that?
I think that, yeah, one of the reasons we might not trust ourselves is an overabundance of caution or perfectionism, and kind of like being driven by fear, you know, like, oh, I don't know if this is quite perfect enough, or I don't know if this opportunity is the best opportunity or something, or what if it goes bad, right? That's how you can tell somebody who is not going to achieve as much, is anytime that you talk to them about an opportunity, they contract. And the way that sounds like is you tell them about a real estate investment, a potential or opportunity, and they say, oh yeah, but you know what, I don't, you know, if I owned a property and I was renting it to some, I don't want to get phone calls in the middle of the night saying that the toilet's broken and, you know, that I have to go fix it. So, but that's exactly what it sounds like. That's the tonality. It's sort of a contracting, giving up, fear-based tonality, and you got to run away from that as fast as you can in the other direction, because that will suck you into a spiral of hesitation and self-doubt. And your life will be the same every single day for the rest of your life, because you won't be forging forward. Now, what does it sound, on the other hand, to trust yourself, right? I think it sounds something like, well, I think this is a great opportunity. There's a possibility that this negative result happens, but there's a much higher possibility that this other positive result happens. I'm okay if by some chance the negative result does happen. This is the worst it's going to be, is this, and I'm willing to be held accountable for those results. I'm willing to take this risk, because I can withstand this negative outcome, as improbable as it is. But this is something I want to go forward with. That's what it sounds like to me when you trust yourself. But what about you when you say trust yourself? What images or sounds or speech patterns come to mind for you?
I definitely get what you're saying, about like the one who's contracting. That's definitely what it sounds, and like the vibe and the tonality and everything, it's definitely what it sounds like when somebody's contracting a little bit. And if you're hanging around those people when you're early in your stages of development, with your concrete trust in yourself, then that's going to bring you down. You're going to need to trust yourself and get away from that person for a little bit. It's not out of rudeness. It's not like, ew, like I have to get away from you. It's like, hi, I love you, and I'm going to go over here just for a little bit. I gotta, build this stuff in myself, and then I can come back for you. And in this meantime, I hope you grow too. So I love you. Peace. Right. So it's like, it's all with love. But the thing about 100% necessary trust in oneself is that I think that a lot of people die with like a lot of guilt, and they feel guilty for a lot of things that they've done in their lives. And I think that guilt comes from not 100% trusting the decisions that you make in your life, and really just checking in with yourself on a daily basis and making sure that this is still the decision that makes you feel good, makes you feel empowered. And, so that way you're not feeling guilty over it. Because like you said as well, when you're not 100% trusting in yourself on your way to achieving every single goal you have ever fucking desired, then you are going to have unnecessary guilt for leaving people behind, or saying something quote unquote rude, or I don't know, getting ahead of somebody in a business because you happen to say the right thing at the right time. There's just a lot of unnecessary guilt, self-doubt, and hesitation coming along if you don't have that 100% trust in yourself. So I think that that's one of the biggest ones. And there are plenty of ways to build trust in yourself. Maybe I'll go over that this week in Soul Design Future, because it's such a great topic. But what is another one for you?
Let me think about something I actually achieved.
Okay.
I would say the proper ratio between action and thought. I would say it's almost 90% action, 10% thought. And the reason that the ratio is so high, I think, it's clear if you're 50-50, how do I want to explain this? Like, as you were saying your last bit there, the image that I got was, when you go out into the world and you attempt to achieve a goal, it's literally like you are wearing some sort of suit of made of all these metal like holes or loops. And as you're walking forward into the world to achieve your goals, everybody and every circumstance has these hooks on them, and they, like casting a fishing pole, they swing out and they try to hook onto your suit, right? And if they can latch on, they will hold you back. And the key is to is to kind of just brush them off so lightly that they don't even hook on, right? The last thing you want to do is get into a tug of war with them. So that would be allowing them to hook you, right? So let's say you have a naysayer in your environment, someone who says, "Oh, why would you try to achieve that? It's, it's not going to be worth your time. Blah. It's going to result in this negative outcome, blah, blah, blah," right? You could try to get into you could let them hook you and then start a tug of war and say, "Come on, why are you being so negative? I gotta, I think it'll work." Right? You've already given up too much of your energy to that energy vampire. And so what it looks like to like not even allow it to be hooked is just so like negligible. It's just, it almost goes in one ear and out the other. Or you kind of, it carries such little importance, like no more importance to you than the dirt underneath your shoe, right?
Yes.
That you don't even realize it's there, and you just keep walking forward. And it's like you could walk for miles. You could spend the whole day with a tiny piece of dirt under your shoe, and it makes no difference. It makes zero difference at all. So to me, it's like a foundation of goal achievement is this. And this takes a while. I'll admit this took me years to develop. And I don't know, do you feel like you've developed this? Do you feel like this is a step that makes sense?
I definitely think that it's a step that makes sense. Because when you're, that whole thing about like literally in one ear and out the other, it's almost like, okay, like when you're fucking around with like your friends and your friends are like, "You the ugliest friend I got," or something like that, and you're like, please, because that they're joking, right? So you in one ear, out the other, and you go back to what you were doing, right? So I feel like it's good to do that throughout life when the naysayers come along. I think that that's definitely something good to have in your foundation, because it's like, it's also like, okay, so like say, maybe you had a bad month in business and, you're sitting here thinking about it, when what you really need to be doing is taking the action to be doing something different and taking that action instead of just thinking. So I definitely think that the 90% action and 10% thought is a wonderful thing to have in the foundation of the basics and the foundation of reaching your goals.
Got it. Are there any more on your list?
My next one would have to be, I genuinely think that it would have to be just like a deep commitment. And I think that there's like another word that I want to use for that. Deep commitment, because there's going to be so many things coming at you when you're hitting your life and you're trying to be the best you possible. There are going to be so many fucking things coming your way, batting at you, and all you need to do is just keep that commitment within yourself. And commitment to me looks like taking a rest when you need it. Commitment to me with exercising and getting the body that I want looks like not exercising for 2 days. Maybe if I've been out drinking or something, I chose drinking over exercising, and that's a healthy balance for me. And maybe sometimes I'll eat raw foods, and then maybe another time I'll want to eat an entire bowl of sugar. It's the commitment that keeps me going through all of it in my business. Maybe it looks like taking a week off. Maybe it looks like taking a month off. Maybe it looks like completely rewiring everything in my 6-month program that I already created. Maybe it looks like getting a mentor. Maybe it looks like hiring another mentor. Maybe it looks like I don't know, something else. But the whole part of commitment is not this. It's not like yabba 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 yabba. Like it's more like a yabba 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 yabba, like throughout life. It's not like I think that commitment, people have commitment in such a twisted version, because I used to have that when I was first, I guess, like understanding commitment. I was more of like in an all or nothing mind state. So it was like, if I wasn't fucking eating healthy, bitch, I was eating horribly and I'm gonna get fat in 2 fucking days. So it was, you know, my all or nothing. And if I wasn't reading every single day or listening to a podcast every single day or doing something good every single fucking day, then I wasn't doing enough. And I think that that's what commitment can look like to some people, and that's that yabba 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 or nothing. But if you kind of just allow that like yabba yabba yabba, that commitment over time to make sure that you're committed to something, and committed looks like you know, switching directions if you need to. Committed looks like taking a step back. Committed looks like so many other things than just like yabba 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 yabba. So I think that commitment is a really big one in catching your dreams.
Yeah.
What do you have to say?
I have a prediction that 5 years from now, you're going to be running a motivational seminar and you're going to be at the front of hundreds of people in the audience, and you're going to have all of them saying at the same time, yeah, but. I just want it to be documented right now in 2021 that I'm predicting this.
All right, well,
hundreds of
you
people.
heard them. You heard them, listeners. Thank you for that, Robert. I will take that happily.
For sure. It sounds like you're kind of at least alluding in some part to excess potential, the concept of excess potential, and kind of like that example I gave in a prior podcast of you know, somebody asks you to hold an egg for them and you get so revved up and you're like, all right, I'm going to hold this egg for you better than anybody else would ever hold it. And you grip it too tight that it breaks. And I think that
Yes.
that's, you know, sort of that the initial yabba, 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 like energy. And like you mentioned, the all or nothing thinking. I think that's a common beginner mistake. And it's one that I've made before, where it's like, you just get so much of this excess potential, again, is a term from the reality transurfing book, so all credit to that author. But it's this concept of just having too much energy for the purpose at hand, for the task at hand. It's too much. It's like an overabundance of tension and things like that. So what would be the opposite of that? What's the correct way to do it? The correct way, I think, is to be monitor your tension, and to, because you're right about commitment, right? It does take some sort of stick to it-ness, but it's more of like, it's more of like preparing for a marathon or something, or it's kind of like staying calm and staying cool. And like, when you said commitment, I thought of like one of the goals, and I'll wrap this up with as my final thoughts and then pass it to you for your final thoughts. I thought of what's one goal I achieved, because it's really good to use, you know, actual examples from real life. And one of the goals I've achieved is I've gotten a great promotion at my job, right? Where I went from this level to this level. And there's a difference in pay, difference in responsibilities, et cetera. But I didn't get that on the first interview. You know, I worked for my company for 5 years and then did an interview, didn't get it. Did another interview, didn't get it. 2 or 3 interviews I had to do. And of course, what's going to go through your mind after the first and second one is like, damn, maybe this goal is not achievable for me. Like, maybe I don't belong in that upper level of, you know, and that's just the mind talking crap and twisting the interpretations, making up stories. It's like that 5-year-old kid next to you uh, that's what the mind is. It's just making these really immature, like, uh, conclusions, these really like dumb, like not intelligent, not useful conclusions. It's a very, that's what a small mind sounds like. So the solution to that is we really have to just turn it down, like a dial on a volume switch or something. We have to really just turn that down, pay less attention to it, and really go for that 90% effort into taking action. You didn't get the second one. Okay, reflect on it a little bit. 10% thought. So reflect on it a little bit. Did I make any like really dumb mistakes? Or if I made one change that was the most impactful of anything, what one change could I make to how I do my interviews, this and that? So think a little bit about it, but 90% action. So then you go and submit another application and just keep going. And so with that proper ratio, I think it stops you from getting caught in that negative thought spiral of doubt, hesitation, etc. So those are my final thoughts of the day. What about you, Kyra?
I think that we have come to a wonderful four basics for catching your dreams. So it'll be, be around people who are where you want to be, because monkey see, monkey do. 100% trust in oneself, 10% thought, 90% action, and commitment. And I think that those sound wonderful put together. Like looking at all the different aspects of those and like seeing them weave together on the journey to reaching all your goals. It's woo. I think that that's great. So I guess that my final thoughts would be also, I'll do a power question. What should our power question be today? What would you say are your 10 top foundations in life? Write them all down for reaching like your basics. Maybe it's honesty. Maybe it's 100% loyalty or trust. Maybe it's stay with your family, always care for your family. Whatever your foundation is that for reaching your goals, write it down and then take a look at all of them, have a sleep and everything. And the next day, come back to it in like a day or like a week or something and eliminate 5 of them. Now, eliminate 5 of those, okay? And then, have a sleep for a week or whatever, and then come back again and eliminate 2 more. So that way you can have a 3 foundational, like your 3 basics for getting your dreams. And those other ones that you crossed out, those can be your micro basics. So those will be things that are also important and that, mean something to you and are, important in sticking with you in catching your dreams. But those main 3 that you picked out, those are like your core, like that is your core. So that is my power question for the day.
What a great strategy. Yeah.
Thanks.
Eliminate and bring it down to the really few high impact ones. Super cool. Yeah, I'm very happy with today's episode. I think that this is content that, you and I read a lot about goal achievement, and it's just, I don't know, it seems like nobody talks just straight about it, like straight up talk about like mindset and goals. It's seems like mostly fluff and things like, well, that sounds good, but easier said than done. But I think that the things we talked about are like very, very possible to implement. So yeah, another great episode in the books.
I think so too. I really think that I agree that the books these days, it's not like they're not good. They're amazing. They're chock full of amazing things that have helped me so much and so many people. But, sometimes it's almost like there's not enough information. It's like in this entire book, you couldn't give me a little bit more detail. You couldn't, like, it's just so basic. It's so fluffy. And it's not like, some people would think that like the details would make it fluffy, but I think it's the details that make it less fluffy, and the less details in reading at least. But yeah, I think that both of our energy was so good today, and I think that it was just a really like prosperous podcast. I think it had really prosperous energy.
Totally. And if any of the listeners and viewers have thoughts, reactions, if this helped you, please leave us a positive review on either your podcast platform if you're listening on one of those, or leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube. So thank you so much. We appreciate your viewership, and we'll be back next week for another episode of Enter the Mind.